Okay, super. So I'm gonna start today, and then Roy's gonna join later, and then I will when he's done, I will start doing the weekly trade setup because I had a thought about how we used to do it on Monday in the evening, and I thought that it might not be the most effective way because I'd like you to have the because by the time if you're there and you get the info on Monday evening, happy days. But you could have already missed one trade in the New York session by the time we have the trade setups. And also, if you're watching the video will be processed overnight, and then it will be up at lunchtime the next day. So again, there might be another trade that's missed in, with the transition from the New York to the Asian session. So all of these trades, it would be good to have them in as early as possible. If you're doing the way I'm doing, trading the swings and trading the sessions. So I thought the earlier the better. And I'll also make a point and have a chat with Roy to start looking into going live on YouTube directly, because that would mean going and also live with you guys on Discord. So both channels would be open. But that would mean the videos are up there by the time we finish them, which is the most effective way, especially these days when moves are small, they're in a small space, and probably the situation will continue. Like, yeah, we might have a breakout every now and then, but as you say, the daily grind is 3%, 4% swings max for Ethereum, less for Bitcoin these days, that we need to catch. And in this way, we can get our X's during the week. I can hear it in my voice. I'm all about the money today. Okay, so let's start with Bitcoin. No, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to start with Bitcoin because I had a look at the charts before the session. I'm going to start with Ethereum because Ethereum has been textbook in terms of how drops happen and when they happen, and what we can expect. So Ethereum has had, this is the weekly chart. I use it for the daily as well for Ethereum. So as we can see, and I've color coded in pink the levels. So I realized I had so many intermediary levels. It might not be clear which levels I find to be relevant for this drop. So the first line is the level for the peak formation. Second line is the second level. So after it drops out of the peak formation, it reaches the next level, it consolidates here. It bounced up and retested the 20 EMA on the weekly, and the daily. On the daily, it did a test of the 55 as well. Actually went above it. They crossed here. They had like a golden cross here, and then everything just started collapsing. Now, where is this? I'm going to keep it on the 1 week because it's easier to see. Where is this going to go? This is going to go most likely into two very small spaces. So we have the divergence line here of these two peaks. And here we have a triangle forming. Here we have a slightly bigger triangle forming. We could be here for maybe this week and yet another one. So we could stay sideways. Now, the ranges for the week for Ethereum have been great to trade. 15%, nothing to complain about, to be honest. We could still be trending sideways here, and we would do okay, and still not see a bigger move. And by a bigger move, I mean this sort of a big move, another 40% drop, which is what I anticipate Ethereum might have. The stochastic on the weekly has crossed down. I'll tell you more when I do the weekly review as well, because I want to stay more punctual for my daily updates. But just so you know, for the Ethereum, the trend is down. So if the trend is down, we have to trade accordingly. There's no support on the day. There's no support on the week. I believe Ethereum, let me just double check. It's lost the support on the 1 hour, And I want to check the 4-hour as well. Yes, the 4-hour support is gone as well. Now, Monday is famous. Back to the daily review. Monday is famous for fake moves. So we might see, as we see on the oscillators, on the stochastics especially, in times of this ranging sideways, the stochastics are a little bit more helpful in terms of indicating the swings because they're more responsive. So I'm watching the stochastics now more than the general RSI. But what's happening to the general RSI is indicating the general trend, which is sideways. Sideways, slightly crossing up above the midline, slightly crossing down above the midline, but staying very much sideways. However, the stochastic has crossed down on the 4-hour. Now, this is the 4-hour is down, but the 1-hour is floored, and so is the 15-minute. So Asia made a big move. Not Asia, sorry. Let me check on Bitcoin. Yes, it was Asia. It was the end of Asia. So Asia topped out last night and then came down. This morning at the end of the session, and that was quite fast. Like it was this purple candle that happened in the space of an hour. So 1.2%, but you can tell, for instance, that the slow trend is the uptrend locally on the 1-hour. So we're not talking about the big trend, we're talking about the immediate tradable trend for the next couple of hours, probably the UK and the first of the US session. So we might see a retrace up. Ethereum is still holding the M2 very nicely. So for the day, it looks like the 1-hour for the day, for the session, it looks like the 1-hour has bottomed out and it might be heading up for M4. Now, going up to M4 on the day, 1600 doesn't really mean too much because this is where 1600 is. So you can see it would still be in the space of this 15-minute arc. So it's not going anywhere, even if it does a small lift. But again, that lift from where it is here, let's say you're entering here after confirmation, that lift, it can be a nice trade of about 24%. Let's say you get 20%, and if it happens over the next 4 hours, 20% in 4 hours would be a nice 15-minute swing trade. So just to draw the attention to the how can I say, there's a discrepancy between the 1-hour RSI, the stochastic that's going up, and the 4-hour that's coming down. Generally that means we're staying sideways until one of them catches up with the other. So for instance, we might make a small move up and then come down and then come down when the 4-hour takes over. So the 1-hour can still do a little lift here, and with that little lift here we would have a head and shoulders formation, probably how can I say, validating itself, and then when it tops out here it starts coming down and breaking down. So this is what I'm watching for today. I am still in my longs in Bitcoin and XRP. They've gone absolutely nowhere. And to me, at this moment, it looks like they won't be going anywhere. Like, I think this has been the move. Ethereum, and that's why I started with it, Ethereum has done the daily test. Now, the bigger time frames are turning down. The weekly is turning down. The daily is turning down. Let me just double check. Not yet. The daily hasn't crossed down, but it's topped out. The 4-hour, not the 4-day. I always do this. The 4-hour has crossed down and is heading down. So, no, not yet for Ethereum. Where's the? That was Bitcoin stochastic. Sorry, guys. I think there's. Is there a, let me check here. yeah, there's a discrepancy between the charts. So on the 4 hour on Bybit, yes, the 4 hour has crossed down. I thought that was the thing. And this one is on, this one is still Bybit. 5-3-14-14. The dilemmas that we have in the morning. 5-3-14-10. I have a slightly different setting here. Okay. Okay, so I take it back. I had this one set on a much more sensitive. Okay, yeah, so that would make sense. That would make sense now that I see that the 14 hasn't crossed down yet. The week would be the dominant one pushing everything down, but it looks like there is a lift still coming today. So that would what I'm watching at for the trades that I'm in is coming out with a little bit of profit today, and then checking to see the rejection that happens at that level. If the rejection happens, the rejection might not happen. They might how can I say, do a back test, rehabilitate, and then continue upwards. But what I want you to see, because it is going to be probably a very nice volatile week to trade, is this super tight space that we're coming into. So when we do the trade setups, we'll be looking at this possible head and shoulders, but it'll also be looking at a possible cup and handle formation for Ethereum that I'm looking at for a week now, and hasn't turned into too much of a profit, but it has reached the next it has reached its next level, Ethereum. So I'm very happy to see how Ethereum is behaving lately. It has nice ranges to trade, and the targets are being hit very nicely. Now, moving on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not so nice. On the day, it could barely lift up to nothing on the day, but I'll tell you where on the 4 hour. Okay, yeah. So Bitcoin only managed, since breaking this channel, to go up to the 55 on the 4 hour, which was nothing on the day. So Bitcoin hasn't retraced to anything. I expected Bitcoin on the day, since it broke out of this channel, to at least backtest this channel, and that would have meant backtesting the daily 20 EMA. Which is what happens after a breakout. There's the back test, and then there's the drop down, and the drop down would be a double bottom target to around 17,000 or 18,000. I think I have a more local target of 18.5, which would be a good target. Now, it's still, again, just like Ethereum, the trend is down for Bitcoin. They are below the 20. They have no support on the 4 hour. They have no support on the day. It's basically heading down into the void. And still, similar to Ethereum, moving into a smaller and smaller space. Like, I'm literally looking at this, going, when is this going to break out? Now, we need to be mindful, because there might be a fake out, as in moving into a particular direction and then retracing back just to go the other way. I believe it will go the other way. My question was, are we going to go up to, now I thought this was Mountain Peak for the arc, but if this is a low volume arc, this might actually extend itself, and Mountain Peak can get up to here, which would be the 21,222, even 22K for that lift, because this is Skyline. So Mountain Peak can reach up to the level of Skyline, and this would be double top rather than this. But again, in this sideways, it's very hard to read the patterns. However, if I am to be super strict with the arc needs to have one impulse up, one retracement down, one impulse up, one retracement down. Everything that happens after these two full impulses is a breakout. And if I'm to take that into account, I would be putting in another arc here, and then considering this as a super micro arc of 15 minutes because of the small volume, which again, I'm not a big fan of this because it looks terrible in terms of the pattern. Like this sideways doesn't particularly tell me anything. So that's why I'm watching to see for this level to be possibly hit again, and then if it is hit again, take my profit and come out. If it's not, I'm gonna watch today for a possible rejection of the upside and take my profits where they are, or maybe come out at my entry point and wait for all of this madness to show itself, because we've had, ever since this drop, we've had from the 28th of August almost, I'm so terrible at counting, 10 days of sideways, and it could still go on. Like here we've had from the 19th of August to, this was the fake out. See what I mean by fake out? So this one here, if you check the line, this one was the fake out before it broke down. So I'm expecting something along these lines to happen, unless this doesn't actually turn into a fake out. It builds some support, but I want to see that support build and then follow it up. And of course that would come with some nice support on the 4-hour and maybe the 12-hour, maybe the day in a week, if it is a change in trend, which to me sounds very unlikely where we are at the moment. So yeah, here I don't want to lose my train of thought. 19th of August to here 26th of August, so a week. Here there was a week of sideways. This one looks a little bit longer. Same. It's moving very slowly. Like you can see the volumes there. There's the occasional spike and then tiny volumes. Just like for Ethereum, well, you can see here, I told you, I made a video about how I use Traders Reality, and you can watch it because I will constantly make a reference to it. It's the indicator that I use on my 15-minute swings, because it has nice entries, it signals the exits, and it is, again, a big yes for me, correlated with the RSI. So you see Bitcoin is barely holding the psychological low here. The pivot point is up here with the psychological high. The daily open is up here. Bitcoin is underneath it all. It could still do a, let's say, an M1 to M3 lift again, especially when New Year kicks in today. Whereas Ethereum is holding the psychological high. It is below the pivot point, it is below the daily open, but at least it has the psychological high and the psychological low below it. So Ethereum is in a better situation. XRP, if we're looking at it, is below everything. So it's below the psychological low, the pivot point, daily open. It has a lot of ground to make up for here before we can think of it as going upwards. So that's where things are on the day. In short, I am expecting a lift today for Bitcoin and Ethereum, a small one on the 1 hour, and you can check to see the retracement. You can check to see when the RSI and stochastic RSI reset to the top, and then we can at that moment we'll see if it is going to be rejected or if it is going to continue forwards. So trade mindfully today.
I think I'll zoom out. I'll zoom out first, and then I'll zoom in. Yeah. So I posted this earlier on. I posted it on the 8-hour. The boot is looking pretty good. There we go. You see the boot in yellow. There's the heel, the ankle, the arch, the ball of the foot. Here we are heading into the toe. Looks like we're heading up for the toe. but that's not really what I want to do zoomed out. Is I'm going to zoom out to the weekly because the weekly just turned. Um, so the weekly turned, and you can see the 5 crossed over the 10, which on the weekly is a strong sign for a spill, yeah. Well, might as well. Is you can see the heel of the boot here. Here's the ankle. So you can see it's beginning to form another boot. Anyway, so my thought is on the weekly is possible. This is looking super bearish. Yeah, it is possible that you get a push up first, up to the 5 or the 10. There's the medial line as well. That would bring it up to around 34.8, which I keep talking about as a target I have. Equally is a higher target up here of 38, yeah. Excuse me. Is on the downside. If you look at a Bollinger Band here, we're looking at 30.50 or so. Excuse me. So it could decide to come down here first and then do a pop up. Or it could just decide to pop up first. Is we got to see. So when I go to the daily, now the start of the day was looking pretty bullish. The 5 had crossed over the 10. 10 was down. 5 had crossed over and was up. So it looked like the 5 was ready to pump a little bit and the 10 was ready to be support. Yeah. Now you can see that the spill has gone further. It still may be the case, and what we're getting is it dipped down before it heads up. Yeah. Now the other side of it is it could just come down for the Bollinger, and again there's 31.86. I don't think it's going to come down that far. If it's going to come down that far, I think it's going to go further. I think it'll definitely be coming down to around the 30 mark if it breaks. So if it starts to break 31.86, which is the bottom of what happened the last week, definitely is going to spill further. But we got to see how it's going to play out today. What stopped it here was the medial line. You'll see the medial line here. So it bounced off the bottom Bollinger here, came up. Look, now it tested the medial line, and generally, if it breaks the medial line, it'll go to the top of the Bollinger here, which again is 34.5 or so, yeah, at least. But we got to see. So now when we zoom in, let me put back on the indicators, yeah. You can see the MACD on the daily was super close to crossing over to the up. So that may turn just into a rejection. That's on the far right here. When you go to the far left, you can also see that there is a bullish divergence on the daily here. You see the two levels here, bottom left. The RSI is near level. But look, here's one level, here's another level. So price action is lower where the RSIs are leveling out. So that's a bullish divergence on the daily. Equally, if you look at price action leveling out here, and you see it curving like this, but if you look at this here, again, price action comes up level, and again, the RSI is not coming down. Price action is coming down, I don't know, halfway down again. RSI is not halfway down. RSI is not coming down at all here, really. So that is very bullish. But again, on the daily, this could drop down to 30, just create more bullish divergence, and then pop up. So I think it's just a question of, is it going to come down one more level and then break up, or is it done and it's going to head up now? So that's really the question, yeah. Excuse me. So now when I zoom into the 4 hour, okay, when I zoom into the 4 hour, I'm going to relate. See the boot again? See the boot? Here's the boot, there's the heel, the ankle, there's the ball of the foot, here's the toe forming. Is on the previous 4 hour cycle, all the way up to here, right up to here, it was following the same form. the same pattern, yeah. It's just the wick here, you can see it broke, this the green line here is the 50. It broke through the 50, back tested, spiked up, got rejected, came down and did a dump. Okay, so now I'm following it here. Look, it broke the 50, back tested, is didn't do a big wick up, but again is after dropping down here, yeah. So now the question is it dropping down so that I can create a bit of space to break up again and break, see this blue line? Break the 55 EMA on the 4 hour, or are we heading for a spill? So that's the question, yeah. Is on the 4 hour it looks like a spill, because see this pattern here and then see this here. So here's the RSI, sorry, the box on the bottom of the second from the right, the one I'm making a circle with here. You'll see the crosshairs on it, yeah. You can see this pattern here where you got that final lift, and this is where the spike was. And now you can see a very similar pattern here, where here's the spike, and now we're dropping down. So it looks like the 4 hour is coming down, yeah. So it does look like it's going to spill. So now the question is how big is the spill going to be, and will it follow through? It does look like that. There's no doubt about it, yeah. But now when I zoom in, into the hour, is now I'm looking at, again, second from the right, the stock RSI is that's bottomed out. Now that can stay bottomed out for a while, so it can spill and still bottom out, but it's quite deep in it, yeah. It's quite deep in it. So the question is, now you can also see here that when you look on the MAs, look how far the 5 MA is getting away from the rest. So the 5 MA is sort of racing ahead, so that makes that weak. That's running out of steam. That can only push down so far on its own without support. And the 10, the blue one here, hasn't really started to make a solid effort to come down and support it yet. Now in the next hour, well, the hour just turns, 12 o'clock just turned, and again the 5 did a strong push down. The 10 is sort of lagging behind quite a bit, yeah. So this here is definitely going to bottom out and do a retrace. So now the question is on the retrace is normally when you get a break, here's the EMAs, bottom right here is the hourly. They've all spilled. The 20 has crossed the 55. The white is the 20, the blue is the 55. So bottom right is the hour. You can see it's spilled, and it's that first push down. So normally after that you get a back test to the 55. So now I think this is where the decider might happen about whether it's going to continue down or switch and start heading up. Is the back test, whatever this hour finishes here, is the back test comes up and it'll come back and test the 55. At the moment that's at 32.95. So let's say 33 is excuse me. I think there'll be a back test to 33 or so, and then I think the question is will the EMAs turn and continue heading up, or will it be a rejection? And if it is, there will be a stronger push down. And then what happens is that when we go to the chart, the basic chart here, is a back test to, let me just put it here, here. So let's say we bottomed out here, yeah? A back test to about 30. So if we get a back test here, and then if we get a rejection, is we'll get that stronger push down. And so this will happen, yeah? Is we get the back test, and then it continues on through. It may head to the line here, see the triangle. We may get this. Okay, so you can see the symmetrical triangle here. We've got, here it comes down, we don't count this, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's 4 touches. It could come up and do 5, 6 and head on up. It could do that. Or we get the rejection around the 30 and we get a push down and it continues down. So I think this is the 33, sorry, the 33 space is going to be a little bit of a decider, I believe. Whatever way it decides to behave there, yeah. I think 33.11. If I go on to, you see this one? No, my apologies. I'm thinking of something else. Is for the trip. Yeah, there's a support and resistance line there at 33.12. We may come back and get a touch off that if it gets a rejection and a push down. If it breaks the 618 here at 32.33, then I think we're heading down for that bigger push. I don't think it's going to go too far, and the reason why I'm saying that is that you can see this descending wedge. So if it comes down is again the descending wedge breaking out of this triangle. The descending wedge takes it down to around 31 or so, maybe 30, 50 or so, yeah. But it'll be hitting off this support line, and then again I think that this wedge will eventually break up, and we'll have our bigger target up to around 38, 39, yeah. Excuse me. So that's where I think the play of it is, yeah. Is there anything else I want to point out here? Yes. Okay, so now I know why I was talking about 33.12. Here's my channels chart, yeah. Here's my channels chart. So here we are. It's quite possible we're going to get the white lines are the 1 hour support and resistance. The red line is the 4 hour, yeah. So it's quite possible we could come down and get a touch off 32.50 or so if it wants to go down that far. Then I think we're going to get the bounce back up to 33 or so. 33.12 is the 4 hour. You can see the play of it trying to push and break this 4 hour. Is if we come up and break the 4 hour back test, is then it looks like we're heading on up. If we get a rejection from this again, is I reckon that we're going to have a deeper push down, but we need to see it break to 32.50 before that's confirmed. So I'm in a nice sweet entry at 32. So if I see 32.50 getting broken proper, I'll be taking a small profit and I'll be jumping in on a short, yeah. And if I see it breaking this, the 4 hour here breaking 33.12, breaking it proper, I'll DCA in on my long, yeah. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. On the bigger play of things. Now here's the same arcs, but just to show you what I'm looking at is you can see this is the bear trend all the way down, yeah. Is we may get that drop down. There's 29.93. We may get that drop down to 30 or so, yeah. Now that would make me bring these arcs. That would make me bring these arcs down lower, yeah. It would bring them all down lower. But that's okay. But that's fine. That's no problem. Yeah, you can see this smaller red arc here is that it has already done three levels. So there's one, and now there's two. Now it is questionable. There's three. It is questionable that could there be another wick down? Absolutely, there could be. Yeah, but it has done its 3 levels. But it could wick down. That meant we'll watch that, yeah. Then we'll get to lift up, and we'll get mountain peak. We'll get mountain peak in this small red one, yeah. Is this yellow one? This is mountain peak. This is third drop. So mountain peak on the small red one would be final peak on this yellow one. Okay. So what I think may happen here, just as a play of things, yeah. We could get the drop down here, back up from mountain peak on the red one might even go, we could get this all the way up here. So mountain peak, the red one would have to be adjusted. The yellow one would have its final peak, final bounce. It would be third drop on the red one, and then potentially is we have our break up here, okay. What would happen is we would be testing the top line of this bear channel again. It would create mountain peak. It would create mountain peak on this much bigger arc here. Yeah, we come back down for third drop. We'll have a play of it like this, and again, then I think we'll have our decision about whether we come down for a bigger spill or we start to have a breakup. Okay, but either way, when we do test this, we will be coming back down. There'll be a big drop down regardless. Yeah, what it does after that, we got to watch the market. Yeah, so now it's either that or we've bottomed out here and we're heading up for mountain peak, the 36 to 38. Third drop is the two smaller arcs will be complete. It may decide to then drop down lower again, do another drop, do a double bottom or even something lower, and we'd have a much bigger spill, and then we would have our lift back up. So now, how would that work out with the bigger arc? It would be its final drop down on the bigger arc, its final drop down, and then it heads up for its mountain peak. So that could happen as well. We really just got to watch it as it goes along. Yeah. So yeah, that's really what I'm watching at. Yeah. Now let me just bring it back to the simplicity of today's trading. Is here we are bottom right on the 1 hour, EMAs on the 1 hour, is I definitely think there's going to be a back test to 33, and depending on what happens there, will dictate the rest of the week for us. Yeah, so back up to 33 here. What it decides to do then will let us know whether we're going to have a down week or whether we're going to have an up week. So that's it. So that's my levels. I think when it looks for going in on trades, if you're not in the trade now and you're looking for your levels to watch for the breakdown, if you see it breaking 32.33, which is the 618 on the 618 on the macro. Okay. So now if I just show you what I mean by that, yeah, is here is price action, and here is the bottom, which is the bottom of the bear market, the previous bear market. Here's the top of the latest bull market. So this is the range, and then we're measuring from top to bottom to observe to see how far price action potential could go. Yeah, and you can see it bottomed here at the moment, and it bounced off the 065 on the fibs. Yeah. Now, XRP loves its 786, so there's absolutely space for it to drop down to the 702 at 25 and the 786 at 1970. And that could very much be on the cards as we go along. But for right now, if we zoom in, you can see this 618 here. So now if you see the 618 breaking at 32, there's a good opportunity for a short. Yeah, and it could be that we get a bounce down to 30 or so, get a back test to the 618, and then a much stronger push down to the 605. Yeah, so but you can see this wedge, whatever's going on here, this wedge will eventually, we will get a relief rally coming up here. Yeah, and then potentially going down that to that depth a bit further. Yeah. And then on the way up, we are looking at, if you look at this support line here, I'll make it stronger so you can see. You see that white line there? There we go. So you can see the support here. You can see it as a support and resistance more locally here. So again, I think if you start to see 33.13 break, it's a good indication that we're going to get a proper lift. I would really want to see it break 33.36. So breaking 33.11, breaking 33.36, and then I think we're heading on up to I'd reckon about 35 target of 34.80, and if it heads up there, I think there'll be again a bit of a back test, and then a continuation on up to 38 or so. Yeah. So that's it. So watch for 32.33 for the short, and watch for, let's say, 33.36 for the long. You get a clear break below or above one of those, and it's a good opportunity for a trade.